Okay, Mark. Well, the reason why I asked that question about Kyle Shanahan and whether there's any sense of concern, any potential sense of urgency in the quarterback room is because there appears to be a lot of different interpretations of that quote. Whether Brock Purdy will be back, they can evaluate him after 3 months, and we'll find out per Shanahan if he's back after 6 months or 8 months. Because Rappaport, the NFL Network, apparently took that and felt like that might allow Sam Darnold, who of course was signed this offseason from Carolina, to have a potential in to what might be the starting quarterback job if Brock Purdy is not ready to go. I felt it was a little bit of a stretch, but then again, it also feels like anything is possible when it comes to the San Francisco 49ers quarterback room, so I can't necessarily fault him for it.
No, I guess I can't really fault him for it either, but I mean, he was asked straight up, at the NFL owners meeting, Kyle Shanahan was, um, you know, who are Sam Darnold and Trey Lance going to split first team reps this offseason? And Kyle Shanahan said, "Yeah, I think so. They will." Which I guess on the surface isn't the worst thing. I mean, you have two quarterbacks who you're going to need to at least make sure they're ready if Brock Purdy isn't ready to play by week 1. But again, it goes against every logical thing that you can glean from the last couple of years of 49ers football. Trey Lance was this team's starter last year. He only stopped being the starter because of an injury. Now, who knows? If things didn't go well, maybe he gets supplanted by Jimmy Garoppolo, and it's a whole different story. But the only reason he was no longer starting games was because of an injury. And everything the 49ers have said is, we still love Trey. But now they bring in, a wayward, still youngish quarterback who hasn't had success at either of his two stops. And the head coach, a month into signing the guy, less than a month into signing Sam Darnold, is saying, yeah, he's going to share first team reps this offseason with our former number 3 overall pick. Like, that just sends off like alarm bells in my head, like sirens. Like, this is not good for Trey Lance. The Niners, they seem to have lost all confidence in the guy. And, they obviously know more about him than we do. They see him in practice every day. They know about his abilities on the football field much more than any of us. But it just shocks me, Evan. I am surprised that the Niners are going to do the offseason this way. I guess it just means that Trey Lance isn't who we thought he was. But I'm surprised we're at this point already of the offseason.
I think there is a little confirmation here in the sense that the 49ers have, in a way, kind of told us how they feel about Trey Lance, not with their words, but their actions. From the few snaps that we've seen him play, it didn't look like Kyle Shanahan trusted his former 3rd overall pick. From what we heard in training camp last year, from what we heard in the preseason, Trey Lance struggled at times to grasp whatever Kyle Shanahan was asking of him to do. I know that he was the day 1 starter, but there was a reason why Kyle Shanahan did all he could, along with John Lynch, and circumstances certainly played a factor, but to bring back Jimmy Garoppolo as the ultimate insurance plan. Sam Darnold, in a way, I think is a similar version of that this year. And if you're Sam Darnold, you're not taking a 3rd quarterback job, in my opinion, unless you feel like you can at one point start during the season, especially when you were borderline playing your best football in your career the last 6 games of the season in 2022. Carolina right now is without a quarterback. I know they'll probably draft one, but why would you try to leave a situation in which you could play to come to a better spot that doesn't have a quarterback, quote unquote, or doesn't have an opening for a quarterback, quote unquote, unless you think he can start? I am with you. Kyle Shanahan's comments about first team reps for both Trey Lance and Sam Darnold, in my mind, I can't help but feel like Trey Lance in this situation should feel terrible. Like, should almost want out of San Francisco at this point, and he may be on his way, but if I'm Trey Lance in this spot, I'm thinking, like, I haven't even gotten a fair shake at this point. A
Mm-mm.
lot of it's because of injuries, but I haven't gotten a chance to even prove myself because Brock Purdy has come in and taken the world by fire. And now Sam Darnold has been brought in to essentially take my spot or at least push me potentially for that spot. That I think is a big alarm. And I'm with you. The sirens are absolutely going off for Trey Lance in that third, second quarterback spot because, yes, to answer the question at the bottom of our of our YouTube chat, Sam Darnold is a threat to Trey Lance right now.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, you remember the conversation we had. I think I posed this question to you a couple of times leading up to free agency. The consensus was the Niners were going to go out and get a quarterback, sign someone and probably draft someone. And I posed to you, or this was my thought, there's a line of the quality of quarterback that they're signing that will tell you their thoughts about Trey Lance. The line is what? Like better than a career journeyman. And my thought originally, before the signing of Sam Darnold was Sam Darnold's above that line. Like he's more valuable than just a career journeyman, a career backup quarterback. Like maybe other people have different opinions of that, but for me, Sam Darnold is above that line, not by a gigantic margin, but I think he's above that line. He's certainly not below it, in my opinion. So then my thought when they signed Sam Darnold, and I think I even quote tweeted the breaking news tweet from Schefter or Rappaport or whoever it was saying this is not good news for Trey Lance. And I didn't really have a lot of people agreeing with me there. But again, you're right. It's what you brought up a few minutes ago. If you're Sam Darnold, why the hell are you going to the 49ers if you don't think you have a chance to play? Like, you have other options. Maybe it's not, a team with as good of weapons as the 49ers. That's probably not the case because there aren't many teams that do, and most of them have the good, solid quarterbacks alongside. But if you're Sam Darnold, why the hell would you go here if you didn't have, perhaps, a word, a handshake agreement from Kyle Shanahan saying, hey, you have a chance to compete for the backup job. And because of Brock's injury, you have a chance to be the starter early in the season. Like if I'm Sam Darnold, I'm only going to the 49ers if I have that, word from Kyle Shanahan. So, we asked a lot of people, at 95.7 The Game and, Carolina Panthers experts and radio hosts out there, is Sam Darnold the kind of guy that would be willing to be a third team quarterback? And they all said, yeah, I think he's just happy to compete, but I don't buy it. I think he wants to go somewhere where he can play and try to revive his career. So, yeah, certainly. Maybe if you're just the third string, second string guy all season in San Francisco's offense, you could pull a Mitch Trubisky when he was backing up Josh Allen in Buffalo, and maybe just doing nothing for a season is enough to, convince teams you're not as bad as you put on tape a couple of years ago. And maybe you get a chance with the Pittsburgh Steelers like Trubisky did. Short-lived, but still, he got another chance. And maybe that's what happens for Sam Darnold. But I'm convinced that's not his plan. He came to San Francisco because he thinks he can play in 3-4 games maybe. And if he plays well enough, even if he gets booted out of the starting job by a healthy Brock Purdy, he has already guaranteed himself a job next year. I think that's his plan. And that tells you from the beginning that the Niners were not confident in Trey Lance, the beginning of this offseason, that is. And to me, I'm shocked that is the conclusion that they've gotten to already.
Whether you're a Trey Lance fan or not, let me set this up. And this is how I see Lance being unequivocally in the danger zone. Coming into this offseason, you had two relatively unproven quarterbacks. Trey Lance, who's only started 4 games, Brock Purdy, who has made 5 regular season starts, 3 in the playoffs. He has not lost a game in which he has started and finished. So between your two unprovens, you have a hierarchy. Brock Purdy, as we've heard this offseason, is number 1. Trey Lance would be number 2. Now, with the addition of Sam Darnold, Marc, who is the most proven quarterback in San Francisco's QB room?
Sam Darnold.
He's made 54 starts. I have no other conclusion to make except for Sam Darnold is the most proven quarterback. And if you're telling me that he's the quote-unquote veteran in the room and you have two relatively unprovens, but you've already established that one is greater than the other, Sam Darnold automatically slots in as the safety net for Kyle Shanahan. And what have we consistently seen Kyle Shanahan do? Fall upon that safety net when he needs consistent, not necessarily high level, but just admirable quarterback play. That is what he wants. He wants a guy that's not going to lose him a game. Not necessarily a guy that, I mean, he'd love a guy that go out and win it, but he just demands that you do not lose him a football game. To me, Sam Darnold, even though his statistics would point to, and even a couple of years ago, he really fell off the map. Sam Darnold has been able to kind of, I would say, restructure his image to the point now where in San Francisco, he's seen as that safety guy. And whether you're comfortable with that valve or not, I think that's the way the 49ers look at him. And that is the way that I would see him kind of tunneling himself into the quarterback 2 position. And then if Brock Purdy is out for, let's say, 8 months, there is an avenue for Sam Darnold to be potentially the starter for San Francisco. I'm not saying it's fair, but I do think that's the way that things are looking right now, especially after hearing Kyle Shanahan talking about a guy that wasn't even in your organization a month ago to now potentially usurping the guy that you spent 3 first-round picks for.
I think we're reaching a point, Evan, where you kind of see the ideologies of the 49ers, and I think specifically Kyle Shanahan, you see them kind of clashing. And I say that because I spent a lot of time last episode, and I really have, the last year on this podcast screaming about the Niners' plan, which is be a really good team with a quarterback on a rookie deal. That's the way you kind of cheat the NFL system right now. Get a good young quarterback. Don't pay him a bunch of money because they're still on their rookie deal, and you can load up on giant contracts elsewhere. But where this clashes is everything that you're saying. Kyle Shanahan generally prefers the safe, low-risk play at quarterback. Generally, Evan, what quarterbacks are not safe and low risk? The quarterbacks on rookie deals. They make the big mistakes, and they have to. It's not a knock on any individual quarterback. It's not a knock on Trey Lance. I know you and I both agree he has been put in a really unfortunate situation. He hasn't been given the chance to really prove himself and get better. But Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers team have for years planned on this. Win a Super Bowl with a quarterback on a rookie deal. But they aren't prepared to let that quarterback on a rookie deal go out there and make mistakes because the Niners only need out of their quarterbacks just okay play. Don't kill us. You don't need to win us games, but don't commit the boneheaded turnovers that generally rookie quarterbacks make. And I think we're at a point here where those two ideologies of the 49ers and their front office are clashing. And I'm interested to see how they get out of this. Which side do they side on? Are they going to keep trying for the young quarterback and in the hopes that they can capitalize on a short term or a low money contract for their quarterback? Or are they going to say, we can't just quite stomach the mistakes that a rookie makes and go elsewhere and try to win with a different plan? I think that conversation is finally coming to a head.